You're listening to What's Contemporary Now, a show about culture and the people, places, and things that together make it up.
Girl, you have got to try this Laneige lip mask. Trust me, my lips needed that love.
Love these vanilla vibes from Kayali. That top note is just so smooth.
Smooth and stunning. That's what you get with this K18 hair mask.
Those brands everybody's talking about, they're at Sephora. Discover the hype with the hottest names in beauty, including Laneige, Kayali, K18, and Rare Beauty. Click or tap the banner to discover the next big thing, only at Sephora.
There have definitely been times in the world where words like commercial felt pejorative, and let's be honest, they were. But in a time of big business where the pace of fast change seems to reign supreme, we wanted to speak to someone who seems to have all the answers on how to succeed while sailing the contemporary creative and economic currents. With Mytheresa continuing to report impressive growth rates while its competitors struggle to sustain their business, CEO Michael Kliger feels like that guy that can, at the very least, point us in the right direction. With a firm grasp on not just business, but the creative understanding of a consumer, he tells us how best to meet people where they are, and ultimately reveals the truth that it really does boil down to cultivating meaningful connection.
This is Michael Kliger, and we are talking about what's contemporary now.
Michael Kliger, before we jump into the impressive role that you've played in the success of Mytheresa, we always start at the beginning with each of our guests. Having entrepreneurial parents is a good start. But you also had a professional background that includes lead roles at companies like eBay Enterprise, McKinsey & Company. When did you decide that this was the space you wanted to really focus on?
That's a complicated journey. Obviously, my parents were entrepreneurs, so going to university was unique. I studied business. As many young people, I didn't know what I really wanted to do. So I felt, hey, consulting is something where I don't have to commit to any sector or function. I will still find out what I really love. Mm-hmm. And funnily enough, I started in retail and worked for 12 years in retail. At some stage, I felt consulting was enough. And later, I always regretted that when I was at McKinsey at consulting, I actually worked in retail, but never in digital. I did all the physical ones, but there was a big boom of digital opportunities in 2001, 2002. Was not part of that. And so at some point, I felt, hey, I need to get into digital because it was so obvious that this is the way consumers want to shop. Actually, having even worked in physical retail, I said, I really need to understand this better, become better. And that, with some different steps, brought me to eBay, which is one of the originators of digital next to the Amazons and the Googles, who all started basically at the same time.
It's definitely fascinating to observe brick and mortar versus digital business and the fact that there are struggles in both sectors. And yet you have a company like Mytheresa who has managed an incredible amount of success. And obviously that might be tethered to the experience that you've just shared in your past. But how would you describe the reason behind your guys' understanding how to navigate digital at a time where brick and mortar and digital are both challenged industries?
I think this is exactly coming to the point you raise. I don't think the fault line is digital or not. Mm-hmm. I think the fault line is giving customers what they wish, and more what they wish is a good experience. And I think that's also why we can be proud of our story at Mytheresa. It is successful and has been successful. And we have always focused, I believe, more than others to understand and then, of course, to cater to what customers want and understand who we are serving and how they define a good experience, because even that is quite different from customer to customer. And the difference between the good and not so good out there, be it digital or physical, is exactly that. Can you provide the right and the good experience to your customers?
I loved what I've read and listened to from past interviews with you, where you talked about the content strategy being governed by simplicity. You want it to be good, but if it makes the user experience more complicated, then that's kind of against the ethos. So where did you first discover that simplicity was the key?
When I started, I wanted to better understand our customer, which I always done also in my previous roles. And we had a couple of focus groups.
Mhm.
I love those because, yes, they are not representative, statistic relevant and all of that, but they are so lively and so anecdotal. And amongst others, there was one lady that clearly said, I like your website. I can shop at one red traffic light. And that sentence or that statement summarized for me, we are luxury. We provide inspiration. We have amazing products. We work with prestigious companies, but there is a customer out there that wants all that, but still needs to bring it all together with a very busy lifestyle, with sometimes realizing that there is something they need at the last minute. And so this dichotomy of outstanding service, outstanding experience with time-strapped consumers, efficiency, convenience, I think that's fascinating and daily puts out the question, does the customer want that? And that goes into many aspects. One of it is editorial content, but there are other aspects also.
Well, that's a really good segue, actually, because editorial content and commercial platforms are definitely finding themselves in much closer of a relationship than in years past. And so how would you describe the role something like editorial plays in a space like Mytheresa?
We serve a customer that is well-informed, is buying a lot. I mean, we focus on the big spenders. So there is, in general, I would say, pretty high level of knowledge and information. And so they come to our website with a concrete need in terms of, I need a wardrobe to go on vacation. I need a wardrobe to social affair. And so what they love is inspire me on that mission, give me inspiration, curated inspiration. But I'm not coming to your website to get some general information about the new styles of the season, background to a new designer. That is highly relevant content. All I'm saying is at the moment the customers come to us, they're not looking for that. And therefore, we decided content, inspirational content is product led with us. Have the product in the foreground, let it shine, be inspirational with styling, actual styling examples, be inspirational with calling out the latest, even before some other platforms can have it. And that is what we identified by discussing and listening to our customers, what they mean by content. Show it to me. What is the latest bag that I should look at? Content is super important, and there are business models out there that thrive by providing content and monetizing that. In our specific contents, the product itself. We redesigned our website a little bit and had a session with customers again, and the moderator led them through the new designed website, and they were hitting the page where the products were shown, and he highlighted some changes on the filters and wanted to move on. And collectively, the 10 people in the room said, wait, we want to look at the products. I mean, this bag I've never seen. And so you could immediately understand what is it that they're looking for.
Well, it's a fair statement to make that Mytheresa, like any big influencer on a social media platform, has a dedicated audience. I mean, you guys are kind of the epitome of quality over quantity in terms of your relationship to the consumer and honing in on those repeat customers, from what I understand.
Right on. I mean, you need to define your audience and then be as good as you can to serve them and to stay close. And again, this dichotomy of they are looking for inspiration, but they're not willing to scroll through 500 depictions of products. So it is really inspire me by showing me less, which I think for some people, even in the industry, came as a surprise. But when you really listen to customers, it is. You as a platform, you do the hard work, you prune it down. I rely on you to bring me the best of the different showrooms of the different brands, and you cut it down so much that it is inspirational to me.
Well, that was the other thing I wanted to ask, because you guys are known to have a smaller, tighter, more curated offering than some of the competitors in that space. What was it that first led to that decision to really kind of refine the offering to such a specific state rather than try to cater to so many?
I mean, I think one element of it was this company was born out of a physical boutique.
Mm-hmm.
So there was first a real need to cut it down because of physical constraints if you are in bricks and mortar.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore there was always this DNA of we go out there, bring back the best brands, to bring back the best pieces of the best brands. This was not started as a digital endless aisle idea, which also exists out there. And then as the business became digital and as this logic was sort of taken to the website, they continued. And the feedback from customers, but also the reaction to selections was, I mean, we have all the data.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the second page, and usually most shops have 60 products per page. Beyond the second page, hardly any customers get there. So if you want to sell something, you better have the best available pieces on the first two pages. And also customers, particularly ours, you have all the filters in the world. So of course, if you have tons of products, you can filter it down. But that only works if you really know what you're looking for. As you know, we have also recently started on home and decor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a prime example where less becomes inspirational. Hardly anyone knows how the vase should look like that they're looking for. I need a vase. I can't even describe you. Show me. And then if there is something that catches your imagination, your desirability, then you buy it. But you tune off after having looked at 120 vases. So you better prune it down to make sure it works.
Speaking of unique offerings, you guys also do a good amount of impressive capsule collections with different leading brands. What role would you say capsules play for the company?
We want to present ideally every week,
Mm-hmm.
different product, new product that you don't find anywhere else. And this is what these capsules do. Today, we launched a pre-launch from Dries van Noten, product that you won't see anywhere else on the fall-winter selection of other websites for the next 5-6 days, I believe. We present unique product that only sits with us. I think the biggest ones we always do is with Dolce & Gabbana, with Valentino, and therefore it drives the interest to look at our page. And of course, we do serve a customer that has the desire to wear and buy something that is not omnipresent,
Mm-hmm.
that you walk into a social affair and that you have a bag that someone else's has, probably even a positive because you have a hot or en vogue bag, but you don't want that to happen with a dress.
Mm-hmm. We're talking a lot about the sort of shiny, happy aspects of the business, and every great success story has certainly had challenges. So what have been some of those you've encountered since taking on this role?
This sounds happy and shiny, but it is a constant transformation. It is painful. It's like a snake constantly getting a new skin. I mean, you need to get rid of the old one that you have outgrown. You grow a new one. And that translates into our business in terms of we have now opened and started to operate the third warehouse. We have completely revamped our IT backend. We have grown from a team of 200 to a team of 1,700. We have opened offices around the world. Sounds great. You need to do it. And you, of course, make mistakes as you grow. And ideally, you grow in a way that your infrastructure is just a little bit larger than what you need, but not too small because you then cannot fulfill the promises to the customers. If it is too large for what you need, you pay. So this is the painful, the challenging part of managing a business that has grown so much. You need to constantly reinvent yourself in so many aspects and need to find, excite, and retain talent because we can't grow if we don't find more talented people to drive the company.
And where do you source that type of inspiration? I mean, obviously, you're an incredibly intelligent businessman, but you have a firm grasp on creativity and human connection when it comes to the consumer and how you've developed this company. So, is that trips to the museum? Is it traveling? How is it that you're sourcing this, keeping those ideas fresh?
It's curiosity, my desire to talk to people. I mean, every discussion with a client, I mean, I was sitting yesterday here in Paris with some men's clients. There's always an idea. There's always something to pick up. You need to collect as many data points as possible, get anecdotes, get facts, look at all these things. And then sometimes magically, sometimes as you take a stroll, sometimes as you wake up or go to bed, suddenly those data points, 2 or 3 connect. And that is the idea. The idea is not out of nothing. I don't think you can be creative in isolation. I mean, if you talk to artists, and I'm not an artist, I don't compare myself to an artist, but it's always what they see, what they hear, what they feel that gives them the idea. And for me as a businessman, it's the same. I look at data points, I talk to people, I meet other business leaders, I talk to my teams, not to get a complete idea, but to get puzzle pieces. And then sometimes magically these puzzle pieces come together to form an idea.
Well, you're synthesizing from a much larger subset of information that way, right?
Exactly. And then that's the beauty. You get a data point, you have a chat with a customer, and at that moment, you don't even know that this is a puzzle piece at some point later.
It's true. And something that surprised a lot of people was the acquisition of Nukes Net-a-Porter. And obviously, again, it's something that I suppose can be considered standard in the world of fashion as far as conglomerates. But what was the reason initially behind that acquisition, and how do you see that unfolding?
I mean, many things came together there. I hear and I know Net-a-Porter, Mr. Porter, Hughes. I mean, they are iconic brands. They are the pioneers of our sector. And when you talk to clients, they will find fault with the operations. They may not like everything, but they always speak with emotions about Net-a-Porter, Mr. Porter. And so there is tremendous value in these businesses. They have gone through hard times, but this year there was an opportunity with the current owner to find a deal that made sense, at least from our perspective, made sense. And while Mytheresa has been a very successful story, we don't cover what they and vice versa. I mean, what a Net-a-Porter means for customers is something quite different than what a Mytheresa means for them. And so the fascinating, the exciting idea is to bring these brands under one roof to serve different customers, or at least same customers in different needs and different occasions, and thus increase the relevance of what we do and have a broader reach of customers without dilution. We reach more customers because we have different offerings. I, as Mytheresa, could never increase the breadth because it would mean diluting our quite sharp and precise offer, I must say. And so that is the fascinating idea that we have with this. It entails work. It entails a lot of back of the house work on infrastructure combinations and of course, hopefully also some synergies. But the fundamental idea is to have in our chest, in our offering, different ideas, different emotional value propositions that can serve different people.
And will they remain 2 entirely separate platforms, or will one become a channel within the other, or how does that future look?
Everything that defines what it is to the customer remains separate. That's the fundamental vision that we have. So to ensure that a Net-a-Porter will be a different solution for different problems than a Mytheresa, the branding, the assortment, the services, they all remain separate and will be managed separately. But of course, there is in digital, in business operations, an advantage to put these businesses on the same backend, the same technology, the same warehouse infrastructure, but they will be served differently.
What's interesting is that you guys are quite prolific in terms of keeping things fresh and innovating and partnering up with different brands, be it for capsules or events or whatever that ends up looking like. But at the same time, you somehow still appear to exist above the fray. I don't really perceive Mytheresa to be governed by the reactionary state of the zeitgeist at all times.
I think it comes back to being very much focused on the customer. A lot of the zeitgeist exists around, above, or behind the customer. There's a constant desirability in any industry of what's the latest, what's the newest. Oh, I heard this is what you need to do now. Our companies are doing this. Let's also do that. And what is striking that in many of these discussions, no one asks the customer, is this really now zeitgeist? Is this really the best new thing? Or is this more the collective push of service providers, people that try to predict the future? There is constant change. There's constant innovation, no doubt about it. But to really cut through the noise, the constant noise of what it should be, ask customers.
Mm-hmm.
Are they really interested in all these latest things? And in many cases, they are not. So what I'm saying is be prepared that there will be massive changes. Don't mistake my view as the status quo will hold. It won't. But to understand where the changes are, I think better strategy is to be prepared to go left, right, forward, or backwards, and then be fast in reacting than spending hours of predicting whether it's left or right and spending hours of analyzing. Better be prepared to quickly adapt, but make no mistake, you will need to adapt.
Absolutely. And that's a beautiful jump into our last and final question, which is, of course, what is contemporary now?
I love the title of your podcast. I think I would answer it. It is many things nowadays. It is far less universal as it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago. It's many things at the same time. And it really depends who you ask. It depends who you speak to. And I like it. It's a much more diverse world. And so there are many answers to the same question nowadays.
I agree. That's always my answer as well. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of What's Contemporary Now. A special thanks to our producer, Sasha Grinblatt. Audio post-production by Chase Coughlin with original theme music by Joseph Topp-Miller and Chase Coughlin of The Black Soft. And visual design by Aaron Meager and Graham Prentice. Subscribe now to be the first to catch new episodes each week. And if you've enjoyed listening, we'd love to hear from you. Leave us a review and let us know your thoughts. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners like you. Follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn for additional content and join the conversation. Let us know what you think is contemporary now.